Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the U.S. Theodore Roosevelt's flight deck, watching the salvage operation through her binoculars. The alien vessel gleamed beneath powerful spotlights, its silver hull reflecting ripples across the Pacific's dark waters. 300 feet below, Navy divers worked methodically to secure lifting cables around the streamlined craft. "Radiation levels still normal, Admiral," reported Commander Jackson, checking his tablet. "Whatever powers that thing, it's not like anything we've seen before." Sarah nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite her racing heart. After 20 years in the Navy, she'd thought she'd seen everything. The events of the past 12 hours had proved her spectacularly wrong. The craft had appeared on radar just after sunset, descending in an erratic spiral that suggested serious damage or malfunction. Instead of the expected crash, it had executed a controlled water landing 50 miles off the California coast. Now, 6 hours later, they were about to make history. "Signal from the dive team," Jackson announced. "They're ready to begin lift operations." Sarah keyed her radio. "This is Admiral Chen. Begin lift, nice and easy." The massive cranes positioned along the carrier's edge hummed to life. Slowly, the alien vessel emerged from the waves like a metallic whale breaching. Water cascaded from its sleek surface, revealing elegant scripts etched into the hull that seemed to shift and change in the spotlights. That's when they heard it, a rhythmic tapping from inside the craft. Morse code, Jackson wondered aloud. Sarah raised her hand for silence, listening intently. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. The universal distress signal, SOS. "They've been studying us," she grieved. Before she could give further orders, a seam appeared in the vessel's side. With a soft hiss, a panel slid open. Standing in the doorway was a figure that would forever change humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. The alien was roughly humanoid, but its translucent skin revealed swirling patterns of bioluminescence beneath. Its large eyes reflected the spotlights like mirrors, and what appeared to be gill-like structures pulsed along its neck. Most striking was its expression, one of unmistakable relief. It spoke, its voice a melodic series of tones that somehow formed themselves into English words. "Thank the eternal stars. We found you in time." The creature swayed, clearly exhausted. 2 Navy corpsmen rushed forward to assist, but Sarah waved them back. She approached the alien herself, noting how it tracked her movement with intelligent awareness. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen, United States Navy. You're safe now." The alien pressed a hand to its chest. "I am Third Speaker Lyra of the Stellar Alliance Emergency Contact Division." It paused, fighting for composure. "Admiral, your world is in grave danger. We all are." Before Sarah could respond, Lyra pulled out a small device. With a gesture, it projected a holographic display showing a spiral galaxy, the Milky Way. Large sections were highlighted in red. "The Shade Collective has already taken these sectors, billions dead or displaced. Our finest fleets shattered. Our strongest defenses bypassed." Lyra's voice grew urgent. "But then we discovered something extraordinary about your species." The hologram shifted, showing what appeared to be neural pattern readings. "Your brainwave patterns, they naturally generate quantum interference fields that disrupt shade coordination. In all our centuries of searching, we've never encountered anything like it." Sarah studied the readings, her tactical mind already racing ahead. "You're saying we're naturally equipped to fight these shade beings?" "More than that, Admiral." Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed with intensity. "We believe you might be the key to saving the galaxy itself." Around them, the carrier crew stood in stunned silence as the implications sank in. Humanity had just learned they weren't alone in the universe, and in the same moment, discovered they might be the universe's last hope. Sarah straightened her uniform. "Then we'd better get to work." Captain Maya Patel ran her hands over the sleek control panel of the UES Prometheus, still amazed at how quickly everything had changed. 3 months ago, she'd been flying cargo runs between Earth and the International Space Station. Now she was about to test humanity's first faster-than-light drive. Engineering reports all systems nominal. Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from his station. Alliance protocols integrated with human modifications. Ready for jump sequence. Through the bridge viewport, Earth hummed like a blue jewel against the darkness. The sight never failed to take Maya's breath away, even after 15 years in space. The Alliance technicians had insisted on conducting this test beyond Mars orbit, far from any gravitational interference. Control, this is Prometheus. Maya keyed her comm, requesting final clearance for FTL test. Prometheus, this is Control. Admiral Chen's voice crackled through the speakers. You have green light. Good hunting, Captain. Maya nodded to her crew. Initialize jump drive. The Alliance-designed engine hummed to life, but the sound was different from the test simulations. The human engineering team had modified the original design, integrating principles from Earth's quantum mechanics research. The Alliance scientists have been skeptical, but the preliminary numbers showed a 30% increase in efficiency. Drive at full power, Rodriguez reported. Ready for jump in 3, 2, 1. Maya pressed the activation sequence. The stars blurred, and for a moment, reality seemed to fold in on itself. Then they were through. Position check. Maya called out, fighting down a wave of disorientation. We're in the Kuiper Belt, Rodriguez said, wonder in his voice. Captain, the jump took 8 seconds. Alliance calculations predicted at least 20. Before Maya could respond, a new alert flashed across her console. Multiple contacts, reading 3 shade vessels on an attack vector. Fear gripped her chest, but her training took over. The Prometheus wasn't designed for combat. It was a modified transport ship intended only to test the new drive. Evasive maneuvers, she ordered, her hands flying over the controls. The ship responded with surprising agility, another benefit of the human modifications. The shade vessels, looking like dark tears in space, moved to surround them. Standard Alliance protocol called for immediate retreat in such situations. But Maya had another idea. Rodriguez, divert power from the jump drive to the structural integrity field. Harrison, prepare for high G maneuvers. Captain, Harrison protested, this ship isn't rated for combat sequences. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Maybe not by Alliance standards. She pulled the Prometheus into a tight spiral, using the ship's enhanced maneuverability in ways the Alliance had never conceived. The shade vessels tried to track them, but their targeting systems couldn't predict the unorthodox flight pattern. Reading energy buildup in enemy vessels, Rodriguez reported, they're charging weapons. Maya pushed the ship harder, executing a series of rapid course changes that would have torn apart a standard Alliance vessel. The human modifications held, allowing the transport ship to move like a fighter. The shade weapons fired, but Maya had already anticipated their target point. The Prometheus slipped between the energy beams, using the momentum to slingshot around the nearest shade vessel. Jump drive recharged, Harrison called out. Plot a course directly to Alliance command, Maya ordered. They need to see this data. As the Prometheus leaped back into FTL, Maya caught a glimpse of the shade vessels trying to pursue. Their rigid formation and predictable tactics had been no match for human ingenuity. Minutes later, they emerged in Alliance space. A dozen defense platforms immediately locked onto them, but Maya broadcast their identification codes without worry. On the main viewing screen, an Alliance admiral appeared, his crystalline features reflecting his astonishment. Captain Patel, your ship's performance. It shouldn't have been possible. Maya had exchanged proud looks with her crew. With respect, Admiral, you'll find that humans have a way of redefining what's possible. The test flight had become humanity's first victory in the war, proving that Earth's greatest weapon wasn't just their unique brainwaves, it was their ability to see beyond established limitations. Dr. Emma Santos watched the battle simulation from the Alliance Command Center, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Around her, Representatives from 12 different species observed with growing interest as human ships executed maneuvers that defied conventional space combat doctrine. "Impossible," muttered High Commander Vex, his crystalline form shifting colors in agitation. "That Subley vessel just outmaneuvered a Shade interceptor. Supply vessels don't fight." Emma smiled, remembering her conversation with that particular ship's captain, a former pizza delivery driver who'd insisted that navigating Friday night traffic in Chicago had prepared him for anything. "On Earth, Commander, we believe in preparing for the unexpected." The massive display showed another surprising scene: a medical transport diving into a debris field, using the scattered wreckage as cover while deploying modified healing pods as makeshift mines. The Shade pursuit ships, following their rigid tactical protocols, flew right into the trap. "Your species continues to surprise us," third speaker Lyra observed, her bioluminescence pulsing with curiosity. "You've taken our base technologies and evolved them." Emma pulled up another hologram, this one showing the modifications human engineers had made to standard Alliance equipment. "We call it cross-pollination. Each crew member trains in multiple roles, and they're encouraged to suggest improvements based on their unique experiences." The display shifted to show a communications officer's redesign of the targeting system, incorporating principles from Earth's social media algorithms to predict enemy movement patterns. Next came a botanist's enhancement to the life support systems, inspired by rainforest ecosystems. "But this defies centuries of specialization," protested technical advisor Zorn, their tentacles writhing in confusion. "Each species focuses on perfecting their assigned roles. The Mendari handle shield technology, the Crystalline Collective manages weapons, the Aquari oversee navigation." "And that's exactly what the Shade expect," Emma countered, bringing up battle statistics. "They've spent millennia fighting opponents who follow predictable patterns. Humans are anything but predictable." As if to prove her point, the simulation showed a civilian mining vessel executing a complex spiral maneuver, using its industrial cutting beams to slice through a Shade dreadnought's defenses. The captain, Emma knew, had adapted the technique from his years of competitive ice skating. "Your casualties must be enormous," High Commander Vex noted, studying the data. "Actually, they're 60% lower than projected," Emma replied, highlighting the relevant figures. "Innovation breeds survival. When every ship can adapt to multiple roles, they're never helpless." The command center's doors slid open, admitting Admiral Chen. Her uniform now bore both Earth and Alliance insignia, symbolizing the growing cooperation between their forces. "Dr. Santos, your report on human integration techniques has been approved," Chen announced. "The Alliance Council wants to implement cross-training programs immediately." Emma nodded, already anticipating the challenges ahead. Teaching other species to think outside their traditional roles wouldn't be easy, but she had a plan for that too. "We'll start with joint crews," she explained, pulling up crew rotation schedules. "Mix species and specialties. Let them learn from each other naturally. Humans are good at fostering creative environments." "And if they resist?" Zorn asked. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her expression determined. "Then we remind them what we're fighting for. The Shade don't care about our traditions or specialties. They adapt and evolve constantly. If we want to survive, we need to do the same." The display showed one final simulation, a complex ballet of ships from every Alliance species, moving with human-inspired unpredictability while maintaining their natural strengths. It was chaos and harmony combined, innovation and tradition working in perfect sync. "This is more than just tactical evolution," third speaker Lyra realized, her bioluminescence brightening with understanding. "You're changing how we think about warfare itself." Emma smiled, watching as another human innovation transformed defeat into victory. "No, speaker, we're changing how you think about everything." Celeste Maria Rossi hadn't expected to find herself in a top-secret Alliance research facility, but here she was, surrounded by the most advanced scientific equipment in the galaxy. Her cello, a 200-year-old Italian masterpiece, looked strangely at home among the alien technology. "Play that sequence again," Dr. Kira Patel requested, her eyes fixed on the quantum resonance display. The xenobiologist had dark circles under her eyes from weeks of non-stop research, but her voice held growing excitement. Maria drew her bow across the strings, playing a complex harmonic sequence. On the screens around them, waves of energy rippled outward, creating intricate patterns in the test chamber. "Look at this," Kira pointed to a particular wave formation. "The harmonics aren't just disrupting their communication. They're creating a cascading effect in their energy matrix." The discovery had started by accident. During a shade raid on a civilian transport, Maria had been playing for evacuee children in a cargo hold. The raiders had suddenly broken off their attack, their formations falling into disarray. It took 3 weeks of research to prove it wasn't a coincidence. Commander James Chen, Admiral Chen's son, studied the data with growing interest. "Can we replicate this effect on a larger scale?" "Better." Maria adjusted her cello's tuning. "We can enhance it. Each shade vessel generates its own electromagnetic frequency. With the right harmonic combinations." She played another sequence, this one incorporating microtonal shifts she'd learned from studying Indian classical music. The test chamber sensors blazed with activity. Their energy patterns follow predictable mathematical sequences, Kira explained, pulling up comparative diagrams. But Earth music, especially when played live, introduces minute variations that their systems can't adapt to. It's like trying to dance to a rhythm that keeps changing. An Alliance scientist, a floating crystal matrix named Resonator 3rd, pulsed with azure light. "We could deploy acoustic generators across our defense networks." "No," Maria shook her head, setting down her bow. "Recorded sounds won't work. They're too perfect, too predictable. We need live musicians, playing in real time, responding to the flow of battle." James looked skeptical. "You want to put orchestra pits on our warships?" "Why not?" Maria stood, passion filling her voice. "Earth's military history is full of musicians. Drummers kept time for rowers in ancient navies. Bagpipers led charges into battle. Bugle calls coordinated movements across battlefields." Kira's fingers flew across her console, running simulations. "She's right. Look at these projections. A network of live performers, each adding their own subtle variations, could create an impenetrable web of disrupting harmonics." "The symphony protocol," James mused, beginning to see the possibilities. "But we'd need hundreds of musicians, all coordinating across different ships." Maria smiled. "You mean like an orchestra? That's what conductors are for. We've been coordinating large groups of musicians for centuries." The facility's alert system suddenly blared. Shade scout ships detected in the outer system. An automated voice announced. James straightened. "How long until they reach us?" 20 minutes at their current speed, Resonator 3rd reported. Maria picked up her cello again, determination in her eyes. "That's all I need. Get me a direct feed to the defense grid." "This is untested," James warned. "Music is never untested," Maria countered, positioning her bow. "Every performance is new. That's what makes it powerful." As the facility's staff rushed to battle stations, Maria began to play. The ancient wood of her cello resonated with frequencies that had never been heard in space, creating ripples in reality itself. On the tactical displays, the approaching shade vessels began to waver. James watched in amazement as the enemy formation broke apart, their precise movements degrading into chaos. "It's working. They're actually retreating." Maria didn't respond, lost in the music that was reshaping the art of war. In the space around their small research station, the galaxy's most feared warriors fled from the sound of a single cello, proving once again that humanity's greatest weapons were the ones the enemy never saw coming. Dr. Rachel Zhang stood in the holographic chamber of the Alliance archives, surrounded by three-dimensional star maps spanning 10,000 years of galactic history. As an archaeologist specializing in migration patterns, she'd been granted special access to study shade movement data, though few understood why an archaeologist was involved in military intelligence. "Show me the shade advancement patterns from the last century," she commanded. The AI complied, and red lines traced paths of destruction across the galactic map. "Still finding patterns in chaos?" Admiral Chen asked, entering the chamber. After 6 months of war, the Admiral's uniform now bore the scars of multiple battles, but her resolve remained unshaken. "Chaos is just a pattern we don't understand yet," Rachel replied, her eyes never leaving the display. "Look here, their movements aren't random. They're following specific paths, like ancient migration routes." She gestured, and the map shifted to show older star charts. "See these stellar density waves? The shade are following them exactly, even when more direct routes are available. It's like they're retracing steps they've taken before." The Admiral studied the overlapping patterns. "You're suggesting they've been here before?" "Not just been here." Rachel pulled up another overlay, this one showing gravitational disturbances. "They lived here. These aren't invasion routes. They're memory maps. The shade are following paths they knew from before whatever made them run." A new figure materialized in the chamber. Third speaker Lyra, her bioluminescence subdued in the dim light. "Dr. Zhang, the Council is skeptical of your hypothesis. The shade have always been warriors, predators." Rachel shook her head, pulling up more data. "No predator species reveals their hunting patterns this consistently. Look at Earth's great migrations: wildebeest, monarch butterflies, Arctic terns. They follow ancient paths because those paths lead to safety, to survival." She highlighted a particular section of space. "The shade aren't advancing, they're retreating. Every time we block a route, they don't try to break through. They find another ancient path. They're not looking for conquest, they're looking for escape." "Escape from what?" Admiral Chen asked, her tactical mind already considering the implications. Rachel gestured again, and the map zoomed out to show the galaxy's outer rim. "Whatever it is, it's coming from out there. The shade's movements all originated from the galactic rim, pushing inward. They're running from something in intergalactic space." Lyra's bioluminescence pulsed with concern. "If you're right, this changes everything. But how can we be certain?" Rachel touched a control, and new data streams appeared. "Because we've seen this before. On Earth, when indigenous peoples were forced from their lands, they followed ancestral pathways, seeking new homes. The shade's quantum signatures show signs of degradation consistent with long-term spatial displacement. They're refugees, not conquerors." "Refugees don't destroy worlds," Admiral Chen countered. "Desperate ones might," Rachel said softly. "Especially if they're trying to erase their trails. What if they're not just running? What if they're trying to hide?" The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The holographic stars spun slowly around them, each one representing billions of lives caught in a war they didn't fully understand. "If you're right," Lyra said finally, "then our entire military strategy needs to change." Admiral Chen nodded slowly. "We've been fighting an enemy that doesn't want to fight us at all. They just want to survive." "Then let's help them," Rachel suggested, bringing up the Symphony Protocol data. "We've proven we can disrupt their formations. Maybe instead of using that ability to fight them, we can use it to communicate." The Admiral studied the patterns one more time, seeing them now with new eyes. "Dr. Zhang, I want you to work with the Symphony Protocol team. If the shade are following ancient memories, maybe music can help us speak to those memories." As the others left the chamber, Rachel remained, watching the dance of stars and migration routes. Sometimes, she reflected, the key to winning a war wasn't in learning how to fight better. It was in learning why you were fighting at all. The Galactic Cultural Center aboard Station Unity wasn't part of any military strategy, at least non-officially. But as Ambassador Kai Anderson watched representatives from 30 different species mingling in the zero-gravity garden, he knew this might be their most powerful weapon yet. The Mendari delegation seems quite taken with the bonsai trees, his assistant noted, gesturing toward a group of crystalline beings studying the miniature earth plants with their sensor arrays. They appreciate the patience it takes to guide growth over time, Kai explained, gently pushing off a handhold to drift closer. Much like their own crystal growing ceremonies. The garden was just one of many cultural exchange spaces humans had designed. Above them, in the zero-gravity sports arena, a mixed team of humans and a quarry were teaching a group of energy beings the art of three-dimensional soccer. The modification of Earth sports for zero gravity had created entirely new forms of recreation that brought species together. Ambassador, a familiar voice chimed. Third speaker Lyra approached, her bioluminescence patterns showing what Kai had learned to recognize as excitement. The latest linguistic analysis from the Symphony Protocol team is remarkable. Kai smiled, remembering how the project had evolved. What started as a weapon had become something more, a bridge. The musical harmonics are helping us understand the emotional patterns in shade energy signatures. Indeed, Dr. Zhang's theory about their refugee status is gaining support. When we analyze their communications through the lens of displacement trauma rather than aggression, new patterns emerge. They drifted toward the central hub, where the station's most ambitious project was underway. The Universal Expression Matrix, as humans had dubbed it, was a massive artificial environment that could adapt to any species' natural habitat while maintaining zones of overlap where different species could interact comfortably. The Shade's latest movements support our hypothesis, Kai noted, pulling out a holographic display. They're responding to cultural outreach attempts in sectors where we've established these centers. A group of young crystalline apprentices floated past, engaged in an animated discussion with human artists about the possibility of using crystal growth patterns to create living sculptures. The idea had already spawned 3 new art forms and a promising line of research into adaptive architecture. Your species continues to surprise us, Lyra observed. When you first joined the Alliance, we expected warriors. Instead, you gave us gardeners, artists, and musicians. The best diplomatic solutions often come from unexpected directions, Kai replied, remembering his own journey from military strategist to cultural ambassador. On Earth, we learned that lasting peace comes from understanding, not just strength. The station's alert system chimed softly, indicating an incoming transmission. The holographic display shifted to show a shade energy pattern, but unlike the chaotic signatures they'd encountered in battle, this one pulsed with a regular rhythm. They're responding to the harmony broadcasts, Lyra whispered, her bioluminescence flickering with hope. The pattern matched the cadence of an Earth lullaby that had been part of the Symphony Protocol's latest transmission. The Shade weren't just acknowledging the signal, they were trying to replicate it. Get me Dr. Zhang and the Symphony team, Kai ordered, already moving toward the communication center. And notify Admiral Chen. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. As he moved through the station, Kai passed more signs of humanity's unique approach to alliance building. A shared meditation space where silicon-based life forms communed with organic species, a culinary laboratory developing foods that multiple species could enjoy together, and a multi-species choir practicing harmonic combinations that transcended biological differences. We're receiving similar responses from 3 other sectors, his assistant reported, hurrying to keep up. Kai nodded, feeling a surge of hope. The art of alliance, as Earth's diplomatic corps had named it, was proving more powerful than any weapon. Through gardens and games, music and meditation, humanity had shown the galaxy a different path. Send word to all cultural centers, he instructed. Tell them to increase transmission of peaceful cultural exchanges. The Shade aren't just hearing our music, they're learning to sing back. The command center of Station Unity hummed with tension as Admiral Chen watched the approaching anomaly on the main display. The massive wave of dark energy stretched across light years, consuming everything in its path. Now they knew what had driven the Shade to flee their home territories. Energy wave approaching at 0.3 light speed, announced the sensor officer, a young lieutenant working alongside a crystalline technician. Time to intercept. 6 hours. Status of the harmonic barrier. Chen asked, turning to where Maria Rossi conducted her orchestra of both human and alien musicians. Their combined music, enhanced by Alliance technology, would be crucial to what came next. All transmission nodes are in position, Maria reported, her hands never stopping their fluid movements as she guided the complex symphony. The shade vessels are maintaining their positions in the array. That last part still amazed Chen. After months of cultural exchange and musical communication, their former enemies had become allies. The Shade's ability to manipulate energy made them essential to the plan. Dr. Zheng's voice came through the comm system as she coordinated from the Xenorcheology lab. The Shade are confirming our theories about the wave. It's the same force that destroyed their original civilization. They've been running from it for millennia. Then let's make sure it stops here, Chen replied, studying the tactical display where thousands of ships from every species formed an intricate pattern in space. Human vessels flew alongside crystalline dreadnoughts. Aquara navigators guided Mendari energy projectors, and shade vessels pulsed in harmony with the music that now united them. The barrier they created was unprecedented, a combination of symphony protocol harmonics, shade energy manipulation, and alliance technology. It formed a web of resonating frequencies stretching across the sector, designed to redirect the dark energy wave. New data from the forward probes, the sensor officer called out. The wave is accelerating, recalculating intercept time to 4 hours. Chen pressed a button on her command console. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. We've trained for this. Trust in each other. Trust in the harmony we've built. Stand ready. The response came in dozens of languages, translated instantly by the new cultural exchange protocols. Different species, once separated by fear and tradition, now worked as one. Wave entering scanner range, announced the crystalline technician. Energy readings are beyond our scale. Maria's orchestra shifted to a deeper, more resonant piece, one specifically composed for this moment. The music rippled through space, carried by the transmission network. On the tactical display, the shade vessels began to pulse in sync with the rhythm, their natural energy manipulation abilities amplified by the harmony. Barrier power at maximum, reported the engineering team. All nodes synchronized. Chen watched as the dark energy wave approached their position. This was the moment that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the combined abilities of every species working in perfect harmony. Wave contact in 3, 2, 1. The barrier lit up as the dark energy struck it. Music and energy intertwined, creating patterns of light that stretched across space. The wave pushed against their defenses, trying to break through. Barrier holding at 80%, called out engineering. 70%, 60%. Maria increased the tempo, and the shade vessels responded, pouring more energy into the harmonics. Human ships darted between the larger vessels, using their modified engines to strengthen weak points in the barrier. 50%, 45%, holding steady at 45%. The wave continued to press against their defenses, but the barrier held. Slowly, the dark energy began to split, redirecting around their protected sector of space. It's working, Chen breathed, watching as the galaxy's greatest threat was turned aside by the power of unity. We're actually doing it. As the barrier continued its work, Chen realized they'd achieved something far greater than just survival. They'd proven that the galaxy's greatest strength lay not in the power of any single species, but in the harmony they could create together. 1 year after the dark energy wave, the observation deck of Earth's first Harmony station offered a view that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Dr. Emma Santos stood beside Admiral Chen, watching ships from every species glide past the massive windows, their paths forming an intricate dance in space. The last of the harmonic satellites is online, Emma reported, gesturing to a holographic display showing the network that now protected their sector of the galaxy. The Shade energy specialists say the coverage is complete. The mention of the Shade still caused some to pause, but not Chen. She'd witnessed their transformation from enemies to allies, had seen their true nature emerge once fear no longer drove their actions. Now, their unique abilities were essential to maintaining the defensive network that kept the dark energy at bay. To think, Chen mused, we spent so much time preparing for war, only to find our greatest victory in harmony. Below them in the station's central chamber, Maria Rossi was conducting a truly unique orchestra. Human musicians played alongside crystalline resonators, while shade energy formations pulsed in precise rhythms. The music they created wasn't just art, it was the foundation of their new defensive strategy. Ambassador Anderson's report just came in, Emma said, pulling up another display. The cultural exchange programs have spread to every sector. Even species that never communicated before are finding common ground. Through the window, they watched as a group of HFY engineers guided a human transport ship into dock. The vessel's hull bore marks of recent modifications, a blend of Earth ingenuity and alien technology that had become increasingly common. Dr. Zhang was right, Chen noted. Understanding the past was key to saving the future. The Shade's ancient migration paths have helped us map safe zones across the galaxy. The station's alert system chimed softly, not a warning, but a notification. Another fragment of the dark energy wave had been detected at the edge of their sensor range. Instead of panic, the response was smooth and coordinated. The orchestra below seamlessly transitioned to a different piece, one specifically designed for energy deflection. Shade vessels moved into position, their natural abilities amplified by the harmonic frequencies. The fragment was redirected safely into open space, just as they'd practiced countless times. Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council, announced the communications officer. A holographic projection appeared, showing representatives from dozens of species. At the center stood third speaker Lyra, her bioluminescence patterns showing what humans had learned to recognize as pride. The Council has reached a unanimous decision, Lyra announced. The Harmony Protocol will be implemented across all sectors. Earth has been chosen to lead the training program. Emma smiled, remembering how far they'd come, from newest members to teachers in less than 2 years. I don't think that's ever happened before. Because no one ever thought to try it our way before, Chen replied. We didn't just show them new technology or tactics. We showed them a new way of thinking. The station rotated slowly, bringing the Earth into view. From this distance, it looked small, one world among countless others. But its influence had spread across the galaxy, not through force of arms, but through the power of creativity, adaptation, and understanding. In the chamber below, the orchestra began a new piece, one that combined elements from every species' musical traditions into something entirely new. The harmony spread through the station, out through the satellite network, and across the stars. You know the best part is? Emma asked, watching as ships of former enemies maneuvered together in perfect synchronization. We're just getting started. Chen nodded, understanding completely. The galaxy had trembled when humanity joined the war, but not for the reasons anyone had expected. They had come not to conquer or dominate, but to unite and protect. In the end, they had helped transform a galaxy of war into a symphony of peace. So, Emma said, turning to the Admiral with a grin, what should we create next?